Well, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We're finally back in the swing of things, and I'm going to start off the Season 4 Shadowlands guides. First off today, we're going to start off with Grimrail Depot. This dungeon is quite overtuned on the last boss, so bear with me if there are any changes that come over the next few weeks from Blizzard. But right now, as it stands, this will be a brief overview of Grimrail Depot and everything you need to know, all the Mythic Plus tips and tricks. Currently in the first week of Season 4 in Shadowlands. There have been some nerfs, there have been some changes with some visuals and all that, but like I said before, if anything changes down the line, I will try and update the video, or at least the description, so you guys know what's going on. Without further ado, we're just going to look at the VOD, and I'm going to go through everything. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comment section below. Let me know what the next video you want in the series is, or the next video you want in the series, and we'll go from there. But yeah, let's do it. So we are going to have a look at a 16 at the moment. So this one is a VOD of the 16 that we did on stream. We're just going to go through everything. As you start, you can see there is a bounty hunter over here. So you're going to talk to them and make sure you get your secondary stat pick. Now, if you don't pick something, you will automatically get put at versatility for your secondary pick. Now, if you want that, that's fine. My personal opinion, you would always stack verse. Everyone would always stack verse, maybe instead of the tank, if you're doing a higher key. There are some of the dungeon bosses mechanics are quite painful. And if you don't have a high verse count or avoidance, you will probably get one-shot by them. That is just my theory. I'm not sure if that's the correct way to think about it, but I assume it is. Otherwise, usually you'd go just your best main stat, and you'd optimize your gear around your best second main stat, second secondary stat, and you would use your best secondary stat for the buff that you get in the dungeons. So you just don't overcap on one of the secondaries. For now, we're going to pull these 4 mobs here. Now, Overseers are going to charge, and they're going to have a red line on the ground. Just make sure they charge into a wall so they get knocked down. Nathrezim Infiltrators is the new Shrouded Affix of the season. A brief overview of that. There are literally 2 things that you need to worry about here. For everyone, there is a ability which causes a small pool of purple on the ground. If you stand in that pool, you will get feared. Or you'll get put to sleep, sorry. It slowly moves around the room, so just make sure you're dodging that. It also does a frontal. You'll see a few, like, little tendrils. It's kind of hard to see sometimes when there's a lot of visuals, but you just don't want to get hit by that. It does a chunk of your damage and also reduces your healing by 50% for a period of time. The most important mob in here is the Technician. The Laborer doesn't really do anything. The Technician will cast 2 abilities. One is called 5,000 volts, which will stun and also channel and chain onto other people, I'm pretty sure. And the next one is, it'll walk over to one of the iron stars around the room. As you can see in the top corner, there's 2 of them, and in the bottom there is another one. And on the top right, there's another one too. So there's 4 in this picture here. If it actually finishes the cast, it activates the iron star. The iron star will explode and most likely wipe your group. So make sure those don't go off. So interrupts are very important. Dodging the frontal from the infiltrator and getting rid of the fear, the sleep bubble, and not making sure you're not standing in it. Besides that, the only tank abilities it does is that one right there, which is called Vampiric Claws, which will heal the Nathrezim and leech life off you. Now, as a DK, you can prevent that, and it's a very, very, very crucial and nice way to reduce the amount of healing the Nathrezim does. You can AMS the ability. So if you AMS before the attack actually hits you, it won't heal. Seeing over here, as we have an Inspired mob, we're going to CC the Inspired mob, and then we're going to pull the rest of them. Because we do not want the Inspired mob to stop any interrupts on the Technician. Now I'm going to pull the Overseers, the Technician, and another Infiltrator. So you've got 50,000 volts, that's an interrupt there. The dashes, as you can see, now that was aimed poorly by me. You want to make sure you're aiming them at the wall, like I said before. That is the frontal, Carrion Swarm. You can see it's very hard to see that there's small little tendrils coming out of the infiltrator, and they're just going to be aiming in a direction in a cone. You just dodge that. These are very simple, same mobs throughout the entire dungeon here in the first area until, as you can see, I stepped in that sleep bubble, so you get to sleep for about 5 to 6 seconds. Aim that at the wall. You're going to keep moving forward throughout the dungeon. And it's the same 3-4 different mobs in these packs before the first boss. Now, just skipping through this, we're going to try not to make these dungeon guides too long. I want to try and give you guys a brief overview so you can just, you know, skip through it ahead to any parts of the dungeon that you have problems with. So, Rocketspark and Borka, this specific boss, there has very little amount of mechanics. The main thing you need to worry about here is avoid standing near the tank. Borka will do like a frontal slam, and if you're near the tank, you'll get hit as well. When the slam finishes as well, if you're casting during the slam, it does do an AoE silence or an AoE interrupt, so make sure you're not casting during the slam. There are red circles on the ground. You want to make sure you dodge those red circles, and also the Rocketspark will go up onto one of these boxes in the corner of the room, and you need to make sure that the tank is facing that charge that you saw earlier from those small mobs. It's going to be the same charge, and you're just going to aim Borka into where Rocketspark is standing on, and then it'll knock Rocketspark down. For this one, since it's jumping around all the time, we wait for Lust. Wait until the Rocketspark gets knocked down, and then we're going to Lust and then pop our cooldowns. You want to kill these guys evenly as well. As soon as one of them dies, the other one enrages and will most likely one-shot you with their main ability. Borka will just start slapping the tank and probably going to one-shot them in about 2 or 3 hits. We'll kill them in 2 or 3 hits. And Rocketspark will just continuously send missiles in the air, and it'll just be mass AoE damage and pretty impossible to heal after a few seconds. That's pretty much the fight. So we're just going to skip through the rest of the fight here. It's the same stuff. Dodge the circles. Don't stand near the tank. And make sure the tank is hitting the brute onto Rocketspark. Now, after you kill this boss, there's going to be 2 Nathrazims here. There's going to be the standard one, and there's also going to be the mini boss. Now, the mini boss is the important one. You need to make sure that you have a lot of single target for it. You can pop your cooldowns here. There's no point saving cooldowns. I see a lot of people just, you know, since it's one mob, they just save their cooldowns and never do anything. It's not a good idea. You want to make sure you're killing these mobs. Every time you kill a Nathrazim infiltrator as well, you do get an extra stack. As you can see on the top right of my screen, that 4 here is an extra stack of that secondary that you got from the beginning of the dungeon. Killing the Zul Gamux gives you 3 stacks of it. So it is beneficial because the more stacks you get at the start of the dungeon, the faster the rest of the dungeon is going to go. You're pretty much, if you have haste, you're going to have a permanent Lust the entire time, which is going to be quite nice for a lot of classes that run on haste. So again, Vampiric Claw standard stuff. Now with this mini boss, it does 3 main abilities, sorry. So it's going to do a Shadow Eruption, which you need to just avoid. It's a big purple circle on the ground. Pretty obvious to avoid it. And now it's going to spawn as well a Hypnosis Bat. Now that ability it's doing Hypnosis, it starts on a countdown. You need to stun it. If you do not stun it, it's going to mind control someone, and you have to kill them. There's no way to get rid of it. So you need to make sure, well, you have to kill them. Make sure it doesn't go off. Just stun it, it'll go away, and then it'll get spawned again a few seconds later. Now the third main ability is Blood Siphon. Now it'll siphon blood, as its name, from every person in its vicinity, and it'll put a shield on itself. You need to break the shield in order to interrupt it. But if you don't break the shield, it's just going to keep healing. So the faster you break the shield, the better, and the less healing it's going to do, the faster you're going to kill this mini-boss. So that's why I'm saying pop your cooldowns here. It's very important. So the shield goes down, we interrupt it, done. Alright, that's pretty much these 2. Now I'm going to go up to the next portion. Now we're just going to run up here. You're going to dodge these fire zones here, and you're also going to grab these 2 bombardiers. Now, the bombardiers, you want to make sure that you're next to it as a tank, and you're not too far away. Because that ability that it just did, it will hit the nearest target. So you need to make sure that there's no melee near it, because the double slash will hit the nearest target and probably kill them. So we're going to grab it here. Now, the double slash is constantly going to put a dot on you. It's going to keep going up. There's no way to avoid it, unless someone else takes it for you. You just need to make sure you nuke these down. It's quite easy to tank. It doesn't really do that much damage. Just pop your cooldowns when you need to. It's just a stacking buff that increases damage by double slash by a certain %. So there's nothing really too bad there. Now you finish those, you run down. There's going to be a little cinematic. Just skip that. And now you're in the fun part of the dungeon. This is the claustrophobic, very bad camera angle part of the dungeon. You can barely see what's going on here. But there's just a few main abilities that you need to worry about. So over here, we got an Athrosine, we got a gunner, and we got 2 infantries. Infantries, you don't have to really worry about anything. The gunner will do an ability called Shrapnel Blast, which is just a frontal. Don't be near the tank. That's pretty simple. Like, tanks can pretty much just take it to the face, especially a DK. DK's broken at the moment. So Shrapnel Blast, that's about it. That's all you have to worry about this pack. The next carriage, we have infantries, Cinder Seers, and also a Grenadier. So what you're going to see now is the whole... there's going to be a circle on the ground that's going to burst into flames. Now you want to make sure you're out of that, obviously. As a tank, you can kind of just sit in there and just make sure the melee have somewhere to stand. You just don't want to be screwing around with the melee and anywhere they can go, because this place is really, really, really claustrophobic. There is a lot going on, and you would just want to make sure that there's always room for people to stand. Now this next part of the carriage, this is like the last bit of the carriage before the next boss. You want to be very careful about where you're pulling mobs, because if someone just moves even a little too much forward, you will pull more than you bargained for, and it will start getting really, really, really bad really quickly. The spawn point when you die is at the front of the train, so it's not that bad of a run back, unlike places like Lower Karazhan or something like that. But just be careful. Just be extra careful here. So, I'm going to pull these. You've got the Shrapnel Blasts again. They're going to go towards the tank. Just make sure you either take it or just don't face it near melee, and melee don't face there too. You got a bunch of infantries and a Grenadier. They're just going to pop that, just kill the gunners, sorry, to make sure the Shrapnel Blasts aren't hitting anyone else, so you can just continue pulling. Now, just the camera angles are all screwed up, as per usual. The Grenadier will just chuck a bomb, as you saw there, which will just give you a little knockback. Luckily, I did not get yeeted off the edge. Now, we got the next pack here. We got Boomers as well. The good old Boomers. They're going to do something called a Black Rock Mortar. Now, you can stop these casts. It's just going to cast on someone, it's going to do a massive AoE, and if it goes off, it's going to hit everyone in that vicinity. Just stun them. Grip them, Typhoon them, stun them, anything. Just stop their cast. It's a long cast, it's not supposed to go off. Pretty simple. There's also an ability in here for DPS, where someone will get picked, and they'll start pulsing AoE towards everyone, and they'll get silenced as well. The way to remove the silence is to just stop hurting others. So just run out as far as you can. As soon as you stop hitting other people with your ability, your silence will go away. So you got the Nathazim Infiltrator as well. We got the Hulk here, and the Hulk is just gonna wail on the tank. That's about it. You got the Cannon Barrage. You got to be careful with that. It's just gonna keep going. So you want to make sure that the Cannon Barrages are stopped as well, because they're just gonna target a player and it's just gonna keep following them. And it does a lot of damage. Cascading damage, if you will. So this pack's not too horrible. Obviously, this is tyrannical, so the fortified mobs are going to be a lot easier to deal with. Next week's going to be fun when it's fortified. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes. So again, we've got pretty much every single annoying mob in this place. You've got the flame tongue on the fire on the ground. Sorry, you've got the shrapnel blast from the gunners, and then you've also got the cannon barrage from the boomers as well. So it's a lot of things to dodge here. But again, you can stun them and you can stop them from doing all those annoying abilities, and it just makes everything a lot easier. So now we've got Nitrogg Thundertower. This boss is pretty simple if you know what you're doing. All you really need to know about this boss is attack this boss and kind of be a little bit spread in this first section. Once it gets to 60% health, it's going to go into a cannon and jump in there, and the carriage is going to open up. Now, the carriage is going to open up, it's going to keep sliding you back, because obviously you're in a moving train. I honestly don't know what hit us there. I'm pretty sure someone they all just stacked and it was probably quaking or something, and just the visual was gone. But when we get to 60%, sorry, it's at 64 there, When we get to 60%, the boss is going to go into its second phase. So that's the Black Rock Mortar. That's what you need to make sure you're spread for. So the carriage is going to open up now. And the winds of the moving train are going to slowly pull you back. So you just need to keep moving forward. Now, there's the main abilities here. You just need to kill the ads. It's just an ad phase, pretty much. Kill the ads, and then you're going to have the same kind of mobs as before. You've got gunners and boomers as well. So again, stun the boomers when they're doing their AoE. Gunners are going to do their frontal shrapnel blast, so make sure you face them away from people. And you've got just random infantries. Now, boomers are going to have those mortars. They're going to drop mortar shells. Now, when you kill a boomer and you pick up the mortar shell, jump into the turret that's right in front of it, and you can shoot the boss. You can also use another ability on the turret to kill these ads. There's a separate ability. One's a mortar shell, one's a frontal. And you want to use that frontal as well to kill the ads, as well as when the boss comes down after on its third phase to kill the boss. It will save you so much time if you actually use the turret. Now throughout this is also going to be, someone's going to be marked with a skull, or for us, someone's marked with a skull. You'll see the person marked with the skull has got a few eyes on it, on its head. That means it's getting targeted by the assault cannon on the top there. Now, you just need to make sure that you're hiding behind any type of terrain here. So these boxes is good, any LOS points, so line of sight points. And the cannon's just going to shoot at you. If you're running through people, it's going to shoot those people as well, so you don't want to do that. You want to make sure you're safe. So you can go back here where the boss started, or you can go in front of here where these mobs spawn. Whatever works. As you can see, the person with the skull is going behind there, and they're just going to be immune to all the damage. That's pretty much it for this part of the fight. Shrapnel blasts. Now, the gunners and the grenadiers are also going to drop bombs that you can pick up too, and you can use those to just AoE these mobs and knock them all back, just like one of the abilities from the carriage mobs back there before this boss. Now, this is pretty much just a tank and spank, grab all the mobs, AoE them down, dodge the abilities. It's very, very simple. Don't stand in the fire, obviously. Now, the boss is going to, after 3 successful mortar shells, the boss will be at about 1% health. You just want to have some ranged DPS, just finish the rest of it off. As you can see, our shaman is over there, just doing a bit more damage to it, so then the boss comes down. Now, as the tank, pick up the boss. Someone's going to be in the turret. As you can see, the person in the turret is using their ability to nuke down the boss. And you'll see the boss's health just absolutely get shredded. It's about 2 or 3% per hit, which is quite insane. Anyway, everyone's going to pop their DPS cooldowns, and then we're just going to nuke down the boss and finish it off. Now, after you finish this boss, this part is quite annoying. This is just you just have to not get hit by the fire. So you're just going to be patient here. Now, it's gonna put flames on one side of the track here, and it's going to put on the other side, and it's going to put on both. So just wait until it's both is done. Quaking is very annoying in here, by the way, if anyone's done it this week. Not a fan. So we're going to go left here, just really, really quick. Now be careful where you're standing here as well. If you stand smack bang in the middle, sometimes you do get clipped by the fire. So you got to be a little careful. Now we've got a bunch of mobs here. So the fast here is going to cast 2 things. It's going to do a storm shield, interrupt it. It's also going to put some lightning on the ground. This lightning is going to come up again in the next boss, on the last boss, sorry. This reckless slash from the captain is a small AoE around the mob. So melee, just be careful. It does it every like 2 or 3 seconds, so just it's not really melee friendly, but if you can just take the damage, just take the damage. It's better to just kill it as fast as possible. Just be a little bit careful with what you're doing. Now the Grimrail Scout is going to do Arcane Blitz. Just going to put some spoils on the ground, make sure you dodge them. Very standard stuff here. And then everything is pretty much the same going up until the boss. Again, Reckless Slash, Arcane Blitz we're dodging, Storm Shield we're interrupting, and the Thunder Zone we are moving out. Okay, now we've got the last bit of mobs here, and the boss will come along. Now, this boss, as of now, there is no discernible way to dodge its lightning breath when it's coming down. The only way to dodge it, from what I have seen and tested, is being directly on this outer rim of the carriage and everyone is in a line, you will avoid every single lightning breath. The only problem with that is, one, it's quaking weak, so people are going to quake each other. Two, the other abilities are probably going to stack a bit too tight, and it's going to get real bad. And three, it's really finicky. Like, you should not have to play the boss this way, but it seems like this is the only way for now, because the breath is so overtuned, it is ridiculous. The healer just has to heal through it, which is not ideal. With this boss as well, you ideally don't want to lust at the start, because the longer the fight goes, or the lower the health, I don't know if it's the longer the fight goes or the lower the boss's health, the more zones on the ground get filled with lightning. I'll have to test that a bit more. If you know which one it is, please leave it in the comment section below. I'd love to know exactly if it's the duration of the fight or it's health based and percentage based on the boss. I usually like to lust at about 40%, just to make sure that we have enough time with lust to just nuke down the boss before the zones get filled up a bit too much, or we have to deal with too many breaths. So we're going to go here. There's three very important abilities here. There's Freezing Snare, as you can see. There's a big beam of blue light. It drops a trap there. Don't stand in it. It's going to root everyone around it. It does a little AoE when it gets broken. People can use things like Cloak on a Rogue, AMS on a DK, Paladin's Hand of Freedom, a lot of other things, like just to remove the traps once it gets a bit too crowded. It's most beneficial to do it. You just don't want to, you don't really want to have the tank doing it because, you know, melee are going to get rooted as well, because AMS will protect you but not people around you. Secondly, you've got a spear attack, as well as thirdly, the lightning breath, as you just saw. Now, you can't avoid that. Everyone's going to get the dot, and the lightning breath aimed into the middle of the room. Now, that's a small portion compared to what you're going to see later on. Now, the spinning spear, supposedly they made this a little bit easier to see. That has not been the case in my opinion. I did this recently as well. This VOD's from 2 days ago. I did this probably yesterday, and it's really hard to tell. But you just need to really look at the boss and then see where it's aiming, and you kind of get the idea. And then you've also got your... Yeah, so it's just the three abilities. It's just Freezing Snare, which is the trap, as you can see from the blue beams. You've got the breath that comes in, and it'll just fill up part of the room. And then you got the Spinning Spear, which you need to dodge. Otherwise, you do get knocked down, and you can't move for a few seconds, which is not fun, and you get a big chunk of damage. So I'm just going to play this out so you can see how many zones get filled up per time the breath goes. I'm pretty sure from what I'm seeing right now, it fills up an extra portion of the room every time it breathes. So that's 3 zones right now. If it fills up 4 zones next, then that'll confirm that it's time-based. Which means... Yep, it filled up 4 zones. Okay, which means it's just a DPS check. The faster you kill the boss, the less zones are going to appear. So lusting at the beginning is the play. Or at least when everyone has their cooldowns up. You just want to kill the boss as soon as possible. So this will be 5 zones. And then the next one should be 6 zones. And it's just the same 3 abilities all over again. It's just snare, spear, breath. Snare, spear, breath. Yep, so now it's just going crazy now. So there's a lot of zones now. This is a real healer check, this fight, because you can't avoid it unless you do that little trick that I mentioned earlier. Standing right on that side railing. Right on the side of the track. Oh, the cart, sorry. The only problem with that is if you misstep, you just fall off and just die, so it requires a lot of personal responsibility to, you know, not only hit someone else or not only hit a trap, but to also not fall off. But yeah, that's the dungeon. So that's Grimrail Depot, guys. The one that was voted by the community. Screw you guys, by the way. This dungeon is absolutely toxic. But yeah, that was the first video of Season 4 Shadowlands. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. yeah. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please, again, make sure if you have any questions, leave it down in the comment section below. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to get more videos in the future. I will be putting out more videos probably every few days. I'll be putting another one. So we did Grimrail now. I'll probably do Iron Docks next. Then we'll go with Karazhan, and then we'll go with Mechagon. At the moment, Karazhan is really overtuned compared to the other dungeons, as you can see by the top timed dungeons in the world. You've got some crazy things like a 27 junkyard has been timed, but only a 16 or a 17 lower Karazhan has been timed, or some ridiculous discrepancy. But yeah, things need to be tuned a little bit. But again, Season 4 is pretty much a for fun season. It's just Blizzard testing the waters while they work more on Dragonflight. So, tangents aside, I'll see you guys in the next video. I appreciate you all. Peace out. Till next time.